Welcome to the first lecture in your course on motivation management. Over the next few weeks, you will learn how to recognize and maintain the types of behaviors that keep employees performing at their best. You will also learn how to diagnose and correct undesirable behaviors. We will look at the causes and consequences of developing a satisfied workplace. In this first lecture, we'll discuss what management and motivation technically are and how they relate to one another. We will then look at what people's needs are and how those needs relate to energy. Motivated employees benefit everyone, individuals, their managers, and the organizations they work for. We have a lot to cover, so let's get started. As usual, I like to start with definitions. Even if we think we know what certain words mean, do we really know exactly? Let's consult the Oxford English Dictionary, often abbreviated the OED. A common definition of management is the process of dealing with or controlling things or people. And motivation is defined as the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way, or the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Taken together, we can understand motivation management as the process of controlling the reasons one acts or behaves in a certain way. Managers who focus on motivation keep the right things in place to get people to perform or act in a way that suits the organization's goals. As a manager, it will be your job to motivate employees. Yes, you will have to regulate their paid time off, track their sick days, give them tasks, but the most important part of any manager's job is keeping employees motivated. What does a manager manage? Remember that a manager controls things and people. What about people do managers control? Their behavior. Management systems and processes are put in place to change some aspect of people's behavior. But how can we manage this behavior if we don't understand why people act the way they do? This is an important question. Trying to manage behavior without understanding it is an endless game. The focus of this course is to help you understand behavior so you can understand how to fix it when it goes bad and keep it around when it is good. Let's consider some basic assumptions about people in order to understand human behavior. First, people have a fundamental need to do a good job. This may strike you as a surprise because we all know people who don't really invest themselves in certain tasks or projects they take on. But in fact, these people too have a basic need to do a good job. They may just be lacking motivation for any of many reasons. Our basic need to do things well stems from survival. Our ancestors needed to hunt well and fish well and fend off predators well. We carry that need to succeed with us today. Additionally, we feel good when we do good work, and we feel badly when we do poor work. We are satisfied when we perform our best. Given this assumption, why do people do anything but their best? Motivation changes as we encounter situations that threaten our need to do a good job. At work, these threats often come in the form of frequently changing objectives, arbitrary performance standards, too few resources to get the work done, negative feedback without any positive criticism, and disrespectful treatment. Have you ever experienced any of these situations? If so, how did they affect your motivation on the job? People also want to feel that they have an influence on what happens to them. This includes work, but it also includes all other aspects of life too. Don't you want to feel in control of your life? At work, employees are often deprived of this basic desire. Too often, stringent and unnecessary workplace rules prevent people from having control. Workplaces are starting to catch on to people's needs to be in control. By giving employees more individual control, organizations have seen increased quality and innovation. This idea is called empowerment. Let's explore a few more assumptions about humans. People do not like to be held accountable for things they cannot control. This seems fair, doesn't it? Yet in the workplace, people are often measured and evaluated for things they believe they cannot control. If you are working on a project team and someone on the team makes a large and important mistake, it doesn't feel good to be criticized for that person's mistake, even if he is on your team. In line with the desire not to be held accountable for things we can't control, we also don't like to be evaluated. While we want to know how we're doing and value feedback, formal evaluations are often unpleasant experiences. Interestingly, we do want feedback, and when that feedback is positive, we tend to want everyone to know about it. On the other hand, if that feedback is negative, we don't want anyone to know a thing. While we don't like to be evaluated, we do want to be valued. We want to know that we are making a difference, that we are appreciated and respected. In fact, respect and appreciation are some of the most powerful motivators. Finally, people don't want their time wasted. You can relate to this, right? Not communicating priorities or making constant changes to processes are ways managers waste their employees' time. Now that you know people have a fundamental need to do a good job, want control, do not want to be held accountable for things they cannot control, want feedback but don't like evaluations, want to be valued, and do not want their time wasted, let's talk about how, as managers, we can fulfill these needs in our employees. Motivation is understood as how hard someone is willing to work to accomplish something. In the workplace, some people are motivated by recognition and others by pay raises. What motivates you? Not only in the work world, but as a student, as a friend, parent. Give it some thought. We all have needs. When we're hungry, we have a need to eat. When we're tired, we have a need to sleep. When we're thirsty, we need to drink. These needs are pretty basic, and we all have them, along with countless others. Maybe as an employee you have a need to meet a deadline, or a need to impress your boss to obtain a pay increase. Motivation can be understood as the process we use to allocate or decide how to spend our energy in order to satisfy our needs. When thinking about how to spend our energy, we must make three determinations. We must determine the direction of our needs. In other words, what actions will we use to meet our needs? Next, we must determine the effort we'll put into the action we'll use to satisfy our needs. How hard will we work? Finally, we need to determine persistence, or how long we will work on those actions. Problems can show up in any of these areas. We may use the wrong actions to obtain our goal of need satisfaction, or we might put too little energy into our action, therefore not meeting our need. Another problem still is failing to put enough time into our actions, which is a problem in persistence. While people can't control the circumstances under which they work or the consequences of their actions, they can indeed control their behavior. As a manager, you can help people change their behaviors, and to do so, you not only need to be motivated yourself, you also need to motivate your employees. Let's say, for example, that your boss is an unpleasant guy who doesn't answer emails in a timely manner, doesn't pick up his phone, and doesn't even say good morning to you. While you probably cannot change these circumstances, you do have control over the way you act. You might return the favor, so to speak, by not saying good morning or answering his emails. Or you can keep a positive attitude, and instead of taking his actions personally, you can try to realize that the problem is his, not yours. In order for anyone to change their behavior, they must change how they allocate energy into actions. Putting energy into the right actions, in the right directions, with the right amount of effort and persistence, leads to change in behavior. 9 features about motivation that are recommended for you to keep in mind. We won't speak about them in much depth in today's lecture, so be sure to complete your reading assignment thoroughly. First, motivation is understandable. By understanding the components that motivate people, we can diagnose and change behavior. Motivation is also a process. A series of interconnected steps lead to an end product. Motivation is basic and fundamental. The need to motivate employees and keep them motivated will never go away. Motivation is not temporary. A constant effort to monitor, diagnose, and make improvements is needed. Just because you are able to motivate someone today does not mean that they will still be motivated a year from today. Motivation is logical. It can be assessed. It is also manageable. What good news! However, how you manage motivation has a significant influence on how motivated the person or people you are managing become. Motivation is a work strategy. Work strategies determine what we work on, what we don't work on, and how much effort we put into each task. Motivation is a collaboration between individuals and the organization they work for. Essentially, employees are asked to stay motivated in exchange for money and benefits. The organization attempts to optimize staff contributions to the organization while improving how the staff needs are met. Finally, with high motivation, we all benefit. When we are motivated to do our best, we have high energy and feel good. Our employer benefits by our good work, high energy, and often positive attitude. I've just given you an overview of what humans need and what motivation is. Let's discuss human needs and energy in more detail. As we've already established, motivation is the process of turning energy into satisfied needs. We all have a pool of energy, and we all make decisions on how to spend that energy. We can understand this pool of energy as the amount of physical, mental, and emotional resources available to us to apply to different actions or tasks. The more energy we have available, the more actions we can do, the more effort we can put in, and the longer we can do it. Does this sound familiar? Remember that the actions we do are our direction. The effort we put in is our effort, and how long we decide or are able to do it for is our persistence. Just because we have a high level of energy available does not mean that we will apply it to work. Have you ever had the energy to go for a run but decided to watch TV or surf the internet instead? I know I have. Our available energy changes depending on factors such as our physical and emotional health, stress levels, and exercise and sleep patterns. Human needs are a popular area of study. Many social scientists have developed theories on what human needs are and how they are satisfied. Some of these theories claim that humans have only a handful of needs, while other theories insist that we have dozens. We won't consider these different theories in depth in today's lecture, but you should definitely make sure to access your web links for more information. The different theories are extremely interesting. Although all humans have the same basic needs, we differ in the strength of those needs. You may have a strong need for human interaction, while I may have a strong need for solitude. You may have a strong need for public recognition, while I have a need for monetary compensation. I still need human interaction, and you still need solitude. Our needs themselves don't differ, just the strength of those needs. Similarly, you still need money, and I still need public recognition. You may or may not be conscious of your needs. Chances are you are aware of some, but not all of them. There is no two ways about it. It is difficult to get a sense of the strength of our own needs. It is harder still to know the strength of someone else's needs. Before we wrap up today's lecture, let's discuss need satisfaction. As I just mentioned, all humans have needs, and we all have pretty much the same basic needs. However, the strength of our needs differs. Our needs don't fluctuate much over the course of our lives. Even the strength of our needs is relatively permanent. If you are a person that values human interaction today, you will likely always be a person who values human interaction. What does change over the course of time is need satisfaction. Need satisfaction is a temporary state that is determined by what happened to us fairly recently. If I recently ate dinner, my need for food has been satisfied. However, in a few more hours, I will be hungry again, and I will need to satisfy this need again. In the workplace, your need for quiet may be satisfied when a loud coworker is out sick, but when that person comes back, you will once again need to satisfy your need for quiet. The need itself and even the strength of that need will not have changed. Are you following me? I know this is a lot to digest, and remember that you can always repeat slides or the entire lecture as often as you'd like to. The last point I'd like to cover is the difference between actual need satisfaction and anticipated need satisfaction. Actual need satisfaction is how we feel after we get a desired outcome. Anticipated need satisfaction is how we think we'll feel when we have a need satisfied. As you might imagine, our actual need satisfaction can differ from our anticipated need satisfaction. Have you ever wanted something and then been disappointed when you actually got it? I remember when I wanted a certain car. It had to be a certain car. Green, with a sunroof, of a specific make and model. I paid a price I couldn't afford because I wanted that certain car. And though I thought I'd love the car, month after month as I made the payments and repeatedly when I had to take it to the mechanic, I realized that my actual need satisfaction was quite a different story from my anticipated need satisfaction. Motivation is about doing things that we think will maximize our need satisfaction in the future. I work hard because I want a raise. You study because you want to do well in this course and get a job. I work to understand my employees because I want to keep them motivated, which will in turn make them both happy and productive. In order to understand how to motivate my employees, I must understand their needs, and I must remember that people will not be satisfied by rewards that don't satisfy their needs. Say I am thinking of offering a $50 gift certificate to a local steakhouse as motivation for the person on my team who completes their work furthest in advance. But what I fail to take into account is that one of my employees is a vegetarian. Do you think he will be motivated by the steakhouse gift certificate? Certainly not. Therefore, he will likely not get his work done ahead of schedule. This concludes the first lecture of our course. In this lecture, you learned how motivation relates to management. You also learned some basic assumptions about people, as well as needs and what drives those needs. In our next lecture, we'll talk about the 5 components of motivation. Until we meet again, be sure to check out the rest of this week's learning components. See you soon.